In this video, we're going to learn some tags for formatting text with HTML. And these are just some basic tags because really most of your styling you want to do with your CSS. But there are a few tags that we want to learn in terms of HTML that do some formatting and also convey some meaning, some structure. So structure and some semantic tagging is really what we're going to focus on here, and that will also teach us a few more codes. Go ahead and open up your HTML page in whatever way you're doing it, PC or Mac, in order to edit. So you can see here that I've created a new page called Web Page 02, and in my code I just have the basic elements that you would want to start any page with, announcing the type of document, your HTML, and I've included that property with the language. Best practice, remember to do it. And then I have the head with a space for the title, and then I have the body, and the body is empty right now. So let's go ahead and put in a title here. Just call it Web Page 02. And just to recall, when you, whenever you make a change, you want to save it and then reload it in your browser, and then you'll see the changes over there. Okay, so I want to focus on formatting some text. And so I'm just going to grab some existing text and then apply some formatting tags. Now, I'm just taking some from an existing web page that I have here, and I'm going to go ahead and paste it. And again, it's going to go in the body section, and this should be making good sense to you that that's where it's going to go. Why? Because that's where the content goes. Now just remember, when we do this, and I'm just going to go ahead and save and then take a look at my changes. Remember, HTML doesn't care about the line breaks that you have in your text file. It's not going to honor those on the HTML page or on the viewed web page. So we want to put in some coding to make it clear what the different structures are on this page, and then also to do a little bit of that text formatting, like I said. So we've already learned a good useful code here, heading 1, and this would be for a main section of text. And a level 2 heading, on the other hand, H2, would, oops, and I need my correct end tag there as well. Heading 2 would be used for a subsection within a heading 1 area. So let's just say we've got these two, and in fact we do have these two subsections within this heading 1 section. So again, we don't want it to go, you know, heading 1, heading 2, heading 3, heading 4, that's not what we're up to. What we're saying is all of the areas on the page that are main headings, we're going to code those as heading 1, and all of those that are first level subheadings, those are going to get our heading 2. So just to illustrate that point, I'm going to add a little bit more content on the page. Let's say another area that would be a heading 1 type of section. And I'll go ahead and encode that in the appropriate way as well. So that's going to get a heading 1 here. So hopefully that's going to make some sense now. So these two sections are H1, heading 1, because they're the main sections. And then within this one, there are 2 subsections. So we have those coded with the heading 2. So now we begin to see some of that structure, right? You can see there's a size difference between heading 1 and heading 2. And again, this is just the default formatting that these headings are getting. So you see the size differential, and then that really visually starts to look like a page that has a few different sections, 2 here and then 2 within this one, right? Now, there are some other things here. This actually is a picture caption, and since we don't have the picture in there and we're not doing pictures yet, I'm just going to take that out. This, we learned this code already. This is a beginning of a paragraph and an end of a paragraph, and we can code each of the paragraphs in this way. Now, I welcome you to use your own text that you can, you know, just put in and start formatting. But if you want to use the same text that I'm using, I have provided that as a resource file on our website. So you can go ahead and download just the text version of this and then start adding codes to it to follow along with what I'm doing here. But for the one that you turn in, please go ahead and use your own text that you find. And again, you don't have to invent it. You can just find it somewhere, paste it in, and then add in appropriate HTML formatting to it. Okay, so now I've put in my paragraphing. and go ahead and reload, and you can see what happens here. We actually have our paragraphing text. Now, the other type of format I'm going to put in here just to demonstrate these. You're probably wondering about things like bold and italic, really simple text formatting techniques that we use all the time. Let's just say we wanted to emphasize this with some bolding. The code for that is called strong, and that just means that it is bold text essentially, sorry. I'm just hitting a Control S there, okay? And you see what happens. So exactly where I put this around, the words that I put this around, those all turned up bold. So the ones I'm going to show you now, just to bold and italicize text, these are called inline codes. And what that means is they apply within a paragraph without making a new line break, right? So it's an inline code that just goes around exactly which words you encode with it. Things like a heading or a paragraph, those are block codes. So wherever you put those, they're going to create a new line. Like let me just show you that just so you get the difference here. Let's just say I like the formatting for heading 2. I like that size and stuff. So I think, oh, okay, well, I'll just put a little H2 around this in order to get it to do that coding. And that'll be great. It'll look the way I want. Terrific. Well, not so fast, because anywhere you put that H2, because that is a block code, not an inline code, it's going to set it apart like this, okay? So if that's not what we intend to do, this is not the right code to use for that. And there's lots of reasons this is not the right code to use for that particular purpose, but just to show you the difference between them. Things like H2 and P are block codes, and something like strong and the codes I'm going to show you to do italics, those are inline codes, and that's a big difference between the text formatting codes just in general. So that's one, that's strong. And then another one is italic. It depends on what your italic is about. Remember, we talked about semantic coding. So semantic coding means that you try to get your codes to align with the meaning on your page, and italicized text is a great example of that. So there used to be an old code called I that just would create italic anywhere on the page. That code is what's called depreciated. It means we don't use it anymore because it wasn't sufficiently specific about why you were using that italic. So that's been replaced by 2 other codes. One of them is called cite, and we use that to italicize text that is, you know, the title of something, a citation, right? So in this case, we're talking about the play Richard III. So that's the title of the play. That actually should be italicized, and cite is the appropriate code to use to do that. And there you go. You can see that now this is italicized text over here. Okay, so what if you just want to use italic just because you want to create some emphasis? Well, no problem. There's another code that actually includes that meaning, and that is EM for emphasis. Here you see that that has become italicized, right? So cite and EM are 2 codes that will allow you to add italics to your text. Okay, so what if I wanted something that was bold italic or italic bold? How do I nest those codes so that I can add both of those things? Let's say here I want some bolding for this whole sentence, but it's referring to the first folio, which is a specific text within that. So no problem. We can nest just like this. And then notice what happens. We get some bold text, and then we get some bold italic text, okay? Now, let me just note that when you're nesting your codes, you want to do it like mathematical parentheses. You want the innermost code to represent, so let's just say we have a single word, or let's, in this case, we'll say a single title that we want bold and italic. Right here. Okay, so here's the bold code. Now the italic code, if I put it inside on this side, I also want it to be inside on this side, right? So don't think of it like, oh, I put this one first, so I should put it first and then I should put cite second. Don't think of it like that. Think of it like mathematical parentheses, where I'm completing this entire action of cite, and then I'm completing this entire action. It's like a circle that contains it. So the cite code is inside a circle of strong code, and then all of that is inside the P code, okay? So just try to remember that, to do those like you're doing mathematical parentheses. So again, we've got our H1 and our H2. That's going to help us with the structure. We've added in all of our P's. And then here we have, again, this is because it's the title of a play. This one's demonstrating our nested code, where you complete this action first. So those go around it, and then you complete this action, okay? And then here we have another nested one, but in a little bit different way, where you're not applying the two codes to exactly the same text, but to some different text. And then we also have the EM code, which creates italic text, but is different from the cite code in its semantic meaning. So that gives you a sense of some basic structure and formatting codes, tags in HTML. So go ahead and create your own file. And the other thing I'd like you to do is to go back to the standard or to the tutorials and find a code that we didn't cover that deals with something like this. Would be one of these sort of structure tags or something you can do within a paragraph, and go ahead and use that code. So learn about it, teach it to yourself, and then apply it in here. Don't go for anything too complicated, but go ahead and give that a shot, and try learning a tag on your own.